have your people with us tonight as we conduct our business. At this time, I would entertain a motion that we approve the agenda as presented. Is there a second? Second. Moved and seconded to approve the agenda. Is there any discussion? If no discussion, all in favor of the motion, raise your hand. All opposed, likewise. At this time, I would entertain a motion that we approve the board minutes of December 4th and December 13th, 2017. Second.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the minutes. Is there any discussion? If no discussion, all in favor of the motion, raise your hand. All opposed, likewise. Motion carries. At this time, we have several people signed up for public comment tonight, and Mr. Ray Albright, you first on the list, sir. Service areas. We're going to allow 3 minutes for individuals, so I won't hold you necessarily to exactly 3 minutes. We'll make your brief comments as short as possible.
I will certainly try to make sure all the board members, I appreciate this opportunity to address the board. I had some prepared remarks that I was going to go over, but before I do that, I want to address one thing, knowing that I won't be able to speak during the regular board meeting. I noticed on tonight's agenda, under old business, there are plans to revisit areas of service and new positions. I was unsure as to what this was all about until I saw the new proposal of appointments had been submitted. I do know that according to the minutes of the special meeting on December 13th, which was called specifically to determine and assign service areas, that Mayor Shaw made a recommendation, which is proper and within his authority to do, even though some of you may not think so. His recommendation was to leave current commissioners in place and made a new assignment for the 2 newly elected commissioners. According to these minutes of this meeting on December 13th, discussion took place, and the board voted to accept all of the mayor's recommendations. The vote was 2-2, with one commissioner, Joe Longberry, being absent. Since this was a tie vote, and in the case of a tie, of course, the mayor is allowed to vote to break the tie. The only time that he gets to vote is in that situation. The mayor did break the tie to accept these assignments as stated. If the revisiting is to try to change this decision, then that is wrong. Statutes clearly state proper vote of majority of council members is recognized as final decision. As I look at this new proposal for assignment service area, I see that at least 7 of the 10 service areas have been changed from what had been approved in December 13th. Although all the service areas are important, probably the 4 most important areas of service is water, sewer, police, and fire. This proposal that is coming up under old business changes all 4 of these service areas that was approved in the December meeting, December 13th meeting. According to these appointments, Commissioner Cheek will remain over water and sewer. And since Commissioner Cheek is in the office full-time, dealing daily with these areas, it seems only proper that he should be the person over those 2 departments. It makes sense to me. And Commissioner Cox, over the fire and the police, it's kind of a no-brainer, since he has previously been directly involved in both law enforcement at the county and local level, and also a past fireman. So I have been in direct contact with Police Chief Llewellyn and Fire Chief Lidwell, and both expressed that they strongly preferred Commissioner Cox to head up their department. I last spoke to this board 2 years ago, December 2015, At that time, the governance of the town was in disarray and basically dysfunctional. There was a lot of squabbling back, verbal attacks between board members and mayors. At that time, the purpose of my remarks were that I begged and pleaded and called on all the commissioners to please, for the sake of themselves and the town, put aside their differences and act with some civility as they carry out their responsibilities that they were elected to do, such as make important decisions for all the citizens of Ramseur. By the way, this is what we, the citizens, and expect and indeed demand from you. Have things changed? I think not. In fact, I would submit that things possibly are worse, if that's possible. We currently do not have a good, favorable environment in this town to conduct the town's business. In May 2015, some members of the board saw fit to take it upon themselves to draw up a power of mayor resolution. I have that somewhere here. Oh yeah, here it is.
Mr. Alderman, I'm going to give you 2 more minutes.
Okay, thank you. This is a copy of the resolution. As I understand it, 2 board members in our town went to on their own, or with graces of the board, went to the town attorney, and those 2 board members and the town attorney, with his help, drew up this resolution, which is composed, as I look at it and go back and look through the statutes, and by the way, I served on the board for 5 years, so this is not my first rodeo. There's a hodgepodge, in my opinion, of cherry picking the general statutes to make sure that you covered what you wanted to cover. There was some excerpts from a Ramseur web page called Local Government in North Carolina, Chapter 3. There are a series of whereas followed by resolves of the power of the mayor, with 9 things that the mayor cannot do without board approval. These 9 resolves ultimately usurps any power and responsibility of the mayor. I don't understand how that can be. Mayor Shaw has been in his town government for several years. He's got more votes than anybody else on the board, 181 votes as a previous mayor. Our town charter calls for a mayor and 5 commissioners. Nowhere is there anything that deprives the mayor of being a contributing member and leader of our town government. In fact, that is his responsibility and exactly what we expect him to do. Our town charter calls for a mayor and 5 commissioners. As far as I know, that is still the way it is. We, the citizens of Ramseur, never voted for 3 commissioners to be in charge of the Ramseur government. So I'm making a formal request quickly at this time that this resolution be declared null and void, repealed, whatever, and that proper steps be taken to identify once and for all just what the mayor's role is in this town governance. And at the same time, let's clarify and identify the roles of the Board of Commissioners as well. This needs to include the Council of Government and any other sources that may be available, and not 2 commissioners and the town attorney. Thank you very much.
Mr. Charles Lane, you're next on the agenda.
Charles Lane, 1503 Ramseur, Main Street, Ramseur. Ray, you took all the steam out of mine.
I didn't steal your thunder, did I? I'm sorry. Well, go ahead, you can reiterate.
Exactly, I'm going to echo what he said and not waste so much time. He's right. When we voted for mayor the last time, I put a check by you, and all intentions were you would be in charge. I feel like that was the best choice for the man to be in charge of the town, who you pat on the back when he does something right, and chew him out when he doesn't. And now that's been taken away. I don't like that. I feel like it's unconstitutional. And that's something that I feel like that you need to address. There's too much friction amongst you that's, I don't know if it's personality conflicts or what, but it shouldn't be there. When you walk inside this building, you need to leave your attitudes outside and attend to the town business. And that's what I expect from you, and that's what a lot of other voters expect from you. And we're remembering this stuff, and there will be some changes. Appreciate the time.
Thank you, Charles. Mr. Blaine Overman, you're next on the agenda, sir.
Blaine Overman at 709 Liberty Street, Ramseur, North Carolina. I put down on the agenda to talk about trustworthiness and ethics. You know, I was told I had to be very careful about what I said because I would be called down to sit down. So what I'm going to do tonight is read from a town document that calls for the code of ethics. Some of the points I like to bring out. Trust is mentioned 7 times in this document. It starts off with a preamble, whereas the Constitution of North Carolina, Article 1, Section 35, reminds us that frequent recurrence in fundamental principles is absolutely necessary to preserve the blessings of liberty. And whereas a spirit of honesty and forthrightness is reflected in North Carolina's state motto, esse quorum laudare, to be rather than to sing. Whereas public officials of this town are charged with upholding the trust of the citizens of this town and obeying the law. Goes on to say, under general principles underlying the code of ethics, the stability and the operation of democratic government, representative government, depends upon public confidence in the integrity of the government and upon the reasonable exercise and of the trust conferred by the people upon their elected officials. The mayor and commissioners must be able to act in a manner that maintains their integrity and independence, yet maintains a responsibility to the interests and needs of those that they represent. The mayor and commissioners must always remain aware that at various times they play different roles as advocates who strive to advance the legitimate needs of the citizens, as legislators who balance the public interest in private rights in considering and enacting ordinances, orders, and resolutions, and as decision makers who arrive at fair and impartial quasi-judicial and administrative determinations. The mayor and commissioners must know how to distinguish among these roles to determine when each role is appropriate and act responsibly. The mayor and commissioner must be aware that their obligation to conform to their behavior is a standard of ethics, ethical conduct that warrants the trust of their constituents. Each official must find within his or her own conscience or touchstone by which to determine what conduct is appropriate. The mayor and commissioners should obey all laws applicable to their official actions as elected officials. The mayor and commissioners should be guided by the spirit as well as the letter of the law in whatever they do. The mayor should endeavor to and commissioners should endeavor to keep up to date through the town's attorney and other resources about new and ongoing legal or ethical issues that may face in their official position. This educational function is an addition to the day-to-day legal advice the mayor and the board may receive concerning specific situations as they arise. I know I'm quickly running out of time. Section 2 talks about the integrity and independence from improper influence. And one of the things it says, exhibiting trustworthiness is one of the articles that will add. Treating other elected officials and the public with respect and honoring the opinions of others even when other elected officials disagree with their opinions. Goes on down in section 4, the mayor and commissioner should faithfully perform the duties of their office. They should act as especially responsible citizens whom others can trust and respect. That should set a good example for others in the community, keeping in mind that trust and respect must be continually earned. The mayor and board should be willing to bear their fair share of the board's workload. To the extent appropriate, they should be willing to put the board's interest ahead of their own. The mayor and commissioner should conduct the affairs of the board in an open and public manner. This should comply with all applicable laws governing open meetings and public records, recognizing doing so as an important way to be worthy of the public's trust. They should remember when they meet that they are conducting the public's business. They should also remember that local government records belong to the public and not to the elected officials or the employees. In order to ensure strict compliance with the laws concerning openness, the mayor and board should make clear that an environment of transparency and candor is maintained at all times in the government unit. They should provide unjustified delay in fulfilling public record requests. They should take deliberate steps to make certain that any closed sessions held by the mayor and board are lawfully conducted, and that such sessions do not stray from the purposes of which they are called. And this is signed and dated first day of November 2010, and signed by Danny R. Shaw, the mayor. So he is aware of what is there. Like I say, I'm running out of time. I had another article. You may be interested in going to the Courier Tribune and reading the May 9th accounting of board election. Okay. But I would say that from reading information that I've been able to obtain, that the board worked for 2 months with the town attorney in working out this resolution, that it's a resolution based on the fact that the Board of Commissioners lost trust in the mayor, and that these actions were required, and the mayor has not done anything to try to address the issues. He's tried his best to work around the resolutions more so than to do his job. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian. Next we have Mr. Jay Hubbard.
Bear with me, I'm not used to doing this. My name's Jay Hubbard. I own a home and operate a business and pay taxes here in Ramseur. Some of you may also remember me as the person that ran against Danny in 2015. I'm glad he won. I do not attend these meetings very often, but I do watch the recordings on YouTube. In recent months, I've seen several incidents in which members of this board have displayed open contempt for our mayor and the democratic process of our government. One commissioner seemed barely able to hide his contempt for the mayor and his fellow board members on several occasions. There is no excuse for an adult to behave that way, and as elected officials, you should all expect to be held to a higher standard. Behavior such as this is unacceptable. Anyone who serves on this board ought to have a basic understanding of how municipal governments in North Carolina are organized and how meetings like this are conducted. We rely on Robert's Rules of Order for good reason. To deviate from those rules undermines the respect your positions deserve and turns your meetings into a waste of our time and money. A special meeting of the board was called and held on Wednesday, December 13, 2017, to decide which departments each commissioner would oversee during the next 2 years. In my opinion, this meeting was unnecessary. Completely reorganizing the board every 2 years is counterproductive. I could understand minor adjustments like placing our water supply, Ramseur Lake, under the same commissioner who oversees water and sewer, or placing a commissioner with law enforcement experience over police and fire. But the changes proposed at that meeting made no sense. It betrays an agenda that was short-sighted and poorly thought out at best. A quorum was present at the December 13th meeting, and there was a tie vote. Mayor Shaw was required to cast a deciding vote and did so according to regular rules of order. Some of you wish to bring this issue up for discussion and another vote tonight because you didn't get the outcome you wanted. That's not how a democratic board functions. I hope you will do the right thing and not waste any more time on the subject tonight. A quorum was present, the board voted, end of discussion. The board is composed of 6 members, 5 commissioners and the mayor. Commissioners have regular voting privileges, can offer motions and resolutions, and advise the heads of the departments that they are appointed to oversee. The mayor's duty, according to the state of North Carolina, is to set the agenda, call the meeting to order, keep the discussion on track, and cast tie-breaking vote in the event of a stalemate among the commissioners. All 6 members of this board should receive time and respect to state their opinions on any issue being discussed, including the mayor. Any member of the board unwilling to abide by these rules has no business being a member of the board and should resign. You are here to serve the citizens of this town, not to stage a coup. Even though he has no regular voting rights, you do a great injustice to the citizens of our town by not tasking Mayor Shaw with at least some day-to-day responsibilities. He is here and available for part of almost every day. He has 25 years of experience serving on this board. It is short-sighted and arrogant not to take advantage of his experience and desire to serve. Mayor Shaw was elected by the citizens of our town, and his role on the board must be respected. In closing, I would like to offer a few suggestions I believe will help make our local government work better for everyone. First, I think you should hold at least one open meeting each month on a day when most citizens will be able to attend. A Saturday morning or afternoon would be convenient for a lot of people. There will be no votes taken, no binding decisions, no minutes to keep, no agenda, just an open dialogue between yourselves and the people you volunteered to serve. Your attendance wouldn't be mandatory at these informal meetings should you find it inconvenient to hear what your constituents have to say. Finally, I wish to address the suggestion that the runner-up in the most recent election be seated should any member of the board be unable to fulfill his or her term. There is no precedent for such a move. In fact, there is precedent in Randolph County to do just the opposite. The Asheboro City School Board needed to fill a vacancy after an election less than 2 years ago, and the runner-up candidate was not seated. Vacancies should be filled at the pleasure and discretion of the board. Something needs to be done to facilitate a more open and civil communication between yourselves and the people you serve, and it should begin with you acting like adults rather than seeking do-overs every time you don't get your way. Thank you.
Mr. William Brown, you're next on the agenda.
Mr. Mayor, members of the board, ladies and gentlemen, William Brown, I live at 649 Coleridge Road. I don't think I can add nothing to what Mr. Hubbard said, except this. Does any of you know what the book of municipality government is?
You talking about this book here, sir?
It plainly states what it is, what everybody's job is. Thank you.
I think we have one more, Bobby, that you're supposed to read.
I'm not sure, I can't remember how to say this guy's name.
Delish.
Delish?
Right, sir.
Turned in a statement.
Steve DeLisi, I just happened to walk in and,
Would you like to get up and read your own statement?
well, I probably can't read it, but, I'm not gonna read there, I just,
Now, his name is not on the agenda, but he turned in a statement to be read, and Bobby was gonna read it, but since he's here, I'm gonna allow him to read his
okay,
statement.
I'm gonna try and read my, writing. My name's Steve DeLisi, I'm a new resident to the area. Basically, I'd like us all to get along. I care about this community, I care about my home value, I care about my grandkids that are here, and I care about the board that represents us. But from the time that I've been here, it's nothing but bigger and arguing, and I mean, it's getting totally ridiculous. I feel like I'm still in Miami. So accordingly, I'd just like to address this to the board. Once an issue is voted on and the mayor has a deciding vote, the issue is closed. Or we might as well not have a mayor. These other gentlemen, I think we had 4 gentlemen speak up for and 1 gentleman to speak up against. Now, whatever the mayor's not doing, we don't know as a community. We only hear. So maybe the mayor or the board can tell us tonight what the mayor isn't doing, and then we as citizens can decide that. Because we hear he's not doing this, he's not doing that, and then somehow we have 3 board members vote to go against him. I don't think it works that way, because now we're going to vote on an issue like these gentlemen said. It didn't go their way, so my mind is coming from Miami. If somebody wants to get onto something and it's voted against, it sounds to me like there's a conflict of interest there. Why would Joe Blow want to be on the police department if Andy's going to be on it? There's something wrong there. There has to be a problem there. If you voted to be on the police department, you're on the police department. If you don't get in and you want to vote against it, you want your other pal to get in, we have a problem. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. They're voted in, they work for 2 years, we vote them out or whatever. I mean, either we have a board or we have a dictatorship, and we saw that sometime in this country. Thank you.
That will close our public comment period and we'll move on into old business. At this time, we have Pastor Josh to speak on the community garden.
Thanks, friends, for hearing us out. We wanted to come back to you and just share some future goals that we have so you can be in the loop. We are hoping to get out in the next couple of weeks to survey the land and really to plot out where we want to do our community garden. We are looking at getting some fencing as well so we can keep out unwanted deer in the area. We're working with Cooperative Extension. We'll begin reaching out to folks from Cooperative Extension locally, but also in Guilford County as well to provide free seeds for our community garden. And we're working on the process of acquiring some more grants through the Duke Endowment and their work with local communities. So I wanted to give you guys an update as to where we are headed and appreciate your support for this opportunity. Any questions?
Thank you, Pastor. The next item of business is revisit areas of service, new positions, Commissioner Cotter.
First, I would like to say thank you to the people that spoke. I understand what you're thinking, and I want you to know that there is no sour grapes here. You can shake your head all you want, and I respect your opinions. I do respect all of your opinions, and I appreciate everybody that spoke, okay? But I'm going to read my thing so I don't get jobbed around. First thing I came up with was a quote. In the absence of clearly defined goals, we become strangely loyal to performing daily trivia until we ultimately become enslaved by it. Now, our town has been running the same way for years. Years and years and years and years. Mr. Albright will tell you he was on the board. It's always been a certain way. There's been problems for years and years and years and years. I don't understand why we can't have an open mind. If you don't know the rules, you can't follow them. And just as important, if the rest of the world doesn't know the rules, you can make things happen that may not necessarily be done properly, but appear to be okay. We all know that you can slide some things in or out, you can make it look good, people will believe you, or else nobody would buy timeshares. There wouldn't be any because everybody would realize. Chapter 160A-69, this is directly out of the state statutes. It should clarify some things. The mayor to preside over council. The mayor shall preside at all council meetings, but shall have the right to vote only when there are equal members of votes in the affirmative and the negative. This next section does not apply to us, but I will read it anyways. In a city where the mayor is elected by the council from among its membership and the city charter makes no provisions as to the right of the mayor to vote, he shall have the right to vote as a council member and all members. Well, we all know that doesn't apply here. It finishes up with, but shall have no right to break a tie vote in which he participated. The mayor participated. The mayor offered his recommendations. That is a participation in the conversation. In our last meeting, a special board meeting which was called as a meeting to discuss areas of service. This was a working meeting. The mayor opened the meeting and immediately made recommendations. It is my opinion in that doing that, he participated. When this was first brought to my attention, I thought that the meaning of the statute was to keep the mayor from breaking a tie where he would receive some kind of compensation or benefit. the more I read this statute, I believe it means that the mayor should be a neutral party to the conversation, and if the board is not able to pass a majority vote, then in that situation, the mayor should be called upon to vote. Now, that is my opinion of what I read. At the last meeting, we were prepared to discuss areas of service. Areas of service which need to be looked at, and in my opinion, changed. Not because I think my way is the right way, but because the town's policies and job descriptions are no longer valid. We no longer have a town administrator, a director of public works, or a public works supervisor. We don't have a chief plant operator, water or sewer plant operator. Those were all supervisory positions. 40 or more hour positions that needed some education. We now have given all the responsibility of the director of public works, the public works supervisor, the chief plant operator and water sewer plant operator to one commissioner. How can one commissioner who doesn't have the qualifications to fill those positions handle all the decisions while working a full-time job? I believe that we need to look at all the positions and spread out the workload. I don't believe that one person, one commissioner, should bear all the responsibility for an area of service or be the one person that is in the know. That type of structure puts an organization, it puts our town in jeopardy, and should be one person, and should that one person make an error in judgment, should that one person become ill or leave, our town we don't have that structure. The clerk's job description per statute is the official records keeper of all municipal records and documents, keeps a journal of the proceedings, the minutes, and maintains the books. She maintains ordinance books and codes, gives notice to the public of council meetings and other duties as may be required by law or by the council. Our clerk has other duties that were bestowed upon her by past administrations. She is our chief financial officer. She prepares the annual budget and monitors compliance. She is also our planning and zoning administrator. She is to supervise clerical work, the reception of visitors, and telephone calls. She handles all the routine correspondence. She keeps deeds, contracts, titles, and an inventory of insured equipment. She signs all town's checks and keeps the audit reports. She serves as the town's tax collector. She maintains all the town's financial records and personnel records. Her position in itself is more than a 40-hour position. Her position, it is not fair to ask her to act as a town administrator and the town clerk at the same time. I believe that it is unfair and that we have put her in a position, and this type of structure puts our town in jeopardy should she make an error, become ill, or leave. Excuse me one moment. The authority of the operation of our town is granted by our charter and our state statutes. As it was said, 5 commissioners. Our town operates on a budget of nearly $1.4 million. Our town, as dictated by statute, should be run by the 5 commissioners, with the assistance of our town clerk and her assistant, the water clerk, while respecting the opinions and the advice of the mayor. In all my years of work experience, in a public job or as a volunteer, there has always been a structured chain of command, not only to keep things running smoothly, but to maintain integrity, to have checks and balances, to make sure that things don't fall through the cracks. And I believe that with a budget of nearly 1.4 million tax dollars, we need a structured decision-making guidelines. It is my opinion that the 5 commissioners should evenly distribute the workload and keep each other informed of all the issues in our town. There are departments that require more attention. Their operational budgets are bigger. There are departments that are necessary for the town to run effectively and departments that are designed for social enjoyment. I believe it is a disservice not only to the commissioners tasked with the areas of service that require a lot of attention, but also to the commissioners tasked with minimal responsibilities. Our citizens deserve better service from their commissioners. I guess that is one thing we do agree on. Our citizens are entitled to an administration that not only works together but shares the responsibilities of their areas of service. Our commissioners by statute have the authority to organize and reorganize our town's government. We can create, change, abolish, and consolidate offices, positions, departments, boards, commissions, and agencies to promote orderly and efficient administration of our town affairs. We have a duty as described by the statutes to govern and for the general management of the town. In previous administrations, we had a commissioner assigned to oversee the Planning and Zoning Board. This position was removed by the board after concerns were brought up that a conflict may result if a quasi-judicial hearing was needed. This leaves our town clerk in a position of being able to make planning and zoning decisions without having to come to the board. I don't believe that that is what the board intended when they dissolved that area of service. Prior administrations had implemented a town administrator, and during his employ, the employee responsibilities were redesigned. We no longer have that town administrator, yet the employee responsibilities have not been updated. Therefore, I believe we need to schedule a work meeting to discuss the areas of service, to determine if the areas of service should be restructured, to create new positions to better serve our community, to bring back a commissioner to oversee the planning and zoning, and to more evenly distribute the workload between the commissioners. That is my opinion, and that is why I brought this back up. We need to look at this again. We have no checks and balances in our town. Thank you.
Wait a minute. Is that all you have on that, Vicki?
It is. I do not want to bring a motion to vote right now. I think that out of respect for Commissioner Lineberry, we should wait till he can attend a meeting.
Do you have a comment?
Yes, I have a comment. I don't agree with some of the things she said in her letter about being unqualified for the job. Within the 2 years I've been on the board, Vicki, I've done more for water and sewer than they have in the past years.
Grant, you
Let me finish.
misunderstood me.
I respected you. And I haven't taken advantage of water and sewer. You have, before you got on this board. You cost the town a minimum of $1,500 by not letting us put the water meter hooked up in front of your building back on the side. So you took advantage of the town and stuff. No other citizen would have been able to do that in the town.
I beg to differ on that.
Let me finish, Vicki, and stuff. You haven't once come to me and talk. Nobody talks to me on this board but Randy.
I want to interrupt you, Grant, because this has got nothing to do with service areas at the present time.
Well,
This should be addressed a little bit later.
But I just want to address it
in your
because
comments.
she said I was unqualified.
Well, you can address that in Commissioner's comments. Is that all you have on that for now?
Yes, sir.
Now, I will say, before we leave that service areas, that according to the municipal government laws of the state of North Carolina, which, here's the book, you can read anything in it anytime you want to. It does say in this book, one voice, one vote, board decision is final, regardless of what the mayor votes or where the commissioners sit. Just because Commissioner Lineberry was not able to be here that night, I broke a tie. That's perfectly legal according to general statute, state of North Carolina, and the county municipal government law. So therefore, we will not revisit this
Okay,
this
but
issue.
the statute says that you shall have no right to break a tie vote in which you participated.
That is not in municipal government book that I have.
It's in the state statutes that the law dictates.
My take on the deal is that, if that's all you have on that, you're not making any motion. That, the service
Excuse me, sir?
areas have been voted on, so we're gonna move on to the next item of business, which is filling the planning and zoning board, Commissioner seat, Commissioner Carter.
As we both know, as we all know, I brought this up, that we need to start making recommendations to fill the seats. as soon as somebody vacates a seat. It is something that I think we should discuss further. I know planning and zoning, the alternate seat has been empty since Randy was elected as a commissioner. I don't think that they have anybody yet that they're ready to recommend. Is that true, Mr.
Well,
Smith?
we have announced to the public, and I mean, you know, I guess we could put it on the website, we could ask that. But our process that we go by now is through application, and anybody that's interested in this position, I strongly recommend that they come to town hall or myself and acquire an application to fill out, and we go by, you know, like I say, if you said their qualifications and anybody that's experienced, we, you know, look at that and, you know.
Are there specific qualifications for being on the planning and zoning board?
Specific qualifications? No, other than being a resident of the town and having an interest in your community and wanting to serve.
That's all I have for right now.
Any further old business or comments? If not, we'll move into new business. Is Mr. Goldcraft here tonight?
I think they were going to Florida to get away from the snow.
Pardon?
I think they were going to Florida to get away from the snow.
Okay, well, we'll put that on. Next item of business is Fushu Road property, Mr. William Brown.
Well, again, I'm William Brown, I live at 649 Coleridge Road, and I still want to buy the property that we've talked about before. So what's up? Straight to the point, that's the only way I know to do it. Y'all gonna sell it to me or jack me around?
My question to the board was, has this property been reevaluated?
No, we had to wait till January.
January?
Well, this is January, dog.
We will get reevaluated this month, if at all possible.
The survey did get finished.
The survey is finished on that point. We have to copy of it now. But I think the board will probably have that property reevaluated this month. We can get back with you,
I would appreciate that.
maybe February board.
Cause I ain't gonna live forever, and I wanna get business.
Weather permitting, okay?
Thank you.
Bobby, be sure to write that down so we can talk to get reevaluated. Next item of business is police report, Commissioner Cox.
Okay, for the month of December, they had a total of 113 calls. We had about 29 citations, 25 warnings, 30 business escorts. I'm just kind of hitting the highlights here. 15 citizens arrests and 20 hours of training time. 13 calls. Yeah, 13 calls. Make a motion to accept this report.
I so long that we accept this report.
Second,
I second.
move to second, any discussion? If not, all in favor of the motion, raise your hand. All opposed likewise, motion carries. Expenses for fire department, Commissioner Cox.
The fire department in December had 149 training hours, 30 total calls, 2 fires, 2 service calls, 15 medical, 3 vehicle accidents, and 1 was hazmat. There was no outlay in expenses. Yeah. $1,005 for service calls.
I make a motion that we accept the fireman's report and pay $1,005.
Is there a second? Second. Second, any discussion? If not, all in favor of the motion, raise your hand. All opposed likewise. He made the motion, David second. Anything else in the fire department? No. Next item of business is School Choice Week proclamation, Mayor Shaw. The proclamation commemorating the town of Ramseur School Choice Week. whereas all children in the town of Ramseur should have access to the highest quality education possible, and whereas the town of Ramseur recognizes the important role that effective education plays in preparing all students in town of Ramseur to be successful adults, and whereas quality education is critically important to the economic vitality of the town of Ramseur, and whereas the town of Ramseur is home to a multitude of excellent educational options from which parents can choose for their children, and whereas educational variety not only helps to diversify our economy, but also enhances the vibrancy of our community, and whereas our areas has many high-quality technical professionals who are committed to educating our children, and whereas School Choice Week is celebrated across the country by millions of students, parents, educators, schools, and organizations to raise awareness of the need for effective educational options. Now therefore, I, Danny Shaw, do hereby recognize January the 21st through the 28th, 2018 as Town of Ramseur School Choice Week, and I call this observance to the attention of all of our citizens. I would entertain a motion that we accept this proclamation. Second.
Second.
Move in second. Any discussion? If no discussion, all in favor of the motion, raise your hand. All opposed likewise. Commissioner Library is not able to be here tonight, so we don't have anything on the cemetery or library. Water and sewer expenses, Commissioner Chief.
Yes, all you have in your paperwork, at the water plant, they needed a pump, and I need to get approval on this pump. It was $1,112.80. I'll make a motion that we pay this bill.
Moved in second to pay $1,112.80 to Piedmont Floor and Eversale for pumps. Any discussion? If no discussion, all in favor of the motion, raise your hand. All opposed, likewise. Motion carries.
Okay, and I also have something here you find in your package. I'm not making a motion that we do this right now. It's just something for you to think about. It can maybe be budgeted in at our new budget this coming year, or if we decide to go ahead and do it, we do have the money in our expense account right now for water and sewer, but I'm just giving it to you now, something to look over and think about. It's about the software update that's needed at the water plant. And it's something that we can talk about and decide later, but it will be something we will have to make a decision on down the road. If y'all would like to know more about it, is Mark here?
Yeah.
Mark, you want to speak on this?
The proposal that you've got is for upgrading our SCADA system. The SCADA system that we have now runs on an XP program, and as most of you know, XP is pretty much going to the wayside. Right now, the computer is running good, everything's fine, but who knows what's going to happen tomorrow as far as the computer goes. But this is for the, it'll be 2 computers, one for a backup, and that would be the new program that would be on a, it's not an XP program, but it'll be on a program that will be able to get updates in all 4. And we did get a proposal for this in, I think it was 2014. That was about the time that XP started going out. And at that time, the system that we looked at with this same company was around 10%, 7-8% higher than what it is today. So it is a little bit cheaper. I know that's hard to believe that 4 years later it's cheaper, but some of the programming is easier now than it was at that time, and that's the reason for the difference in the price. But like Grant said, this isn't something that we have to have today, but we do need to start looking at it. I was just thinking today, if you do have money in capital outlay that you wanted to put towards anything, looking more towards having automatic read meters may be a better direction to go in today, but you just need to remember that this needs to be addressed too.
And talking about the automatic read meters, I wanted to bring a suggestion to the board. I think we were like in 176 to have all of our meters automatically read. If we did the Brooklyn line, finish the Brooklyn line, it would be a total of 47 meters. That's not all we need, but at that cost, if we could use, get approval for $14,000 out of our capital outlay to go ahead and finish out the Brooklyn line, and then maybe on later down the road or in another budget, we allocate money for say 50 more until we get these finished out.
Mark, how old is that system that is there now?
The SCADA system was put in, I looked at it today, September of '04, I believe, was when it was put in.
Mark, right now, isn't Windows 10 the most recent Windows program? This is for Windows 7 Pro. Is there not another, is there a higher version that's out there?
7 is what CTS was recommending, and that's who installed our SCADA system.
Did they say why they would recommend 7 if there's a higher version of Windows out there?
He did not say that, no.
I think there's a difference between plain Windows and Pro. I don't think there's as high on Pro as the regular. I think that may be what the difference is.
Can we check on that? Because I sure would hate to spend that kind of money only for a new version of them.
Yeah, I'll be glad to do that.
And also, there's a possibility of getting another quote.
Do what?
There's a possibility of getting another quote from another company.
I have not done that. The SCADA that we have now is proprietary, so it has to go through them. And I don't know how to go about doing that. So
That's something, things we can check into. That's why I brought it up. We got time to do some research and find out.
All right. Anybody got any questions for Mark? All right, thank you, Mark. That's all you have.
Yes.
Next item of business is Park and Recreation, Commissioner Carter.
I've asked Bobby, and she's been very grateful to give me information for the things that are coming up for Parks and Recs and under that budget. I would like to form some committees. I would like to form a committee for the Fall Festival, the lake, the ball fields, and the concerts. So I will be asking people to serve on those committees, which brings up the place of where we're going to meet at. And so I've talked with the clerk. I would like to get a key to the town hall and a key to this meeting room right here, so that we can have some meetings in here. I also understand that there could be some issues about what those keys open to. The key to the front door also opens the key to the office. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So we need to look at doing some issues to make sure that that stays secure. But I would like that this office right here be utilized for a commissioner office, so we can meet up here with our constituents, so that the committees can meet up here without invading the office area. Does anybody else on the commission want a key to the town hall so they can meet up here?
We have to be kind of careful about giving keys out. In the past, I think Commissioner Hesselmeyer had a key, was the only commissioner that had a key other than office people. And whenever he turned his key in, since he wasn't commissioner on the Planning and Zoning Board anymore, we gave it to Mr. Evan Smith, because he's the chairman of the Planning and Zoning Board. That way he could let those people in when they had meetings. If we've had a lot of problem in Ramseur with the keys getting reproduced in different areas. We can't permit that to happen here. Now, Randolph Community College also has a key for their classes. But the least amount of keys we can put out there, I feel the better and more secure this building is. You know, if one commissioner wanted to have a key for these events, meetings, I wouldn't see a problem with it, but I do see giving out too many keys as being a potential problem.
I mean, we are your commissioners.
I know you're commissioners, but why all of a sudden every commissioner's got to have a key?
Well, I think it might be easier if the commissioners have a place to meet with people instead of having to go to Sherry's or wherever, so they're not in their home. Honestly and personally, I don't want to invite the general public into my home, especially if I'm home alone. And I would think that maybe the other commissioners might not want people coming over to their private area. And we should have a place to be able to meet. It is the town's hall.
This is a public building, anybody can use it anytime they so desire. Somebody has to be in charge.
Well, I would like a key so I could have committee meetings here and meet with people.
Is that something would have to be approved by the board for us, holding the meetings here? You know, I'm not saying nay or nay about it, but we're just hearing about it again.
Right, and we need to do some, like I said, some security to make sure that there's not access to the offices. So we may need to change a lock.
Me and Vicki talked before. The main doors, front and back, open my office and the vault. And there's a separate key for these office doors, so we would have to make sure that those keys would not be given access to our areas.
What's the pleasure of the board? Everybody want a key?
I think if they want a key, they can ask the town clerk, and the town clerk can work it
Well,
out.
would this not work better if, say you're gonna have a meeting or something, could you give Bobby notice and she just have one key and give it to you, whoever, and then give it back to her?
So if I get a call at 6:30 and somebody from the town says, Vicki, I'd like to talk with you for a few minutes, do you mind? Am I supposed to call Bobby up and say, hey, can you run back here?
Give me gas and I'll do it.
Yeah.
I understand that there's security issues, but if you change it so nobody can get in, right now you've got Randolph Community College having access to the back room over there, and I think, and I would hope that you would trust me more than you would trust somebody from Randolph Community College having access to it.
I think it's a little pick on when you already have a key, if you want one.
Shall I check all the locks to be sure who can get into what areas before we decide to get the keys?
Right. You make sure those office doors in there are key board office key. We don't want just anybody going in there. The key that goes into my office is,
Different from the main door.
and one that goes into Jim McIntosh's old office, the key is separate from the front door and back door.
Yes.
Now, the one going in,
Our office is the same as yours.
same as the front and back door. Same as
Those
the-
two doors right there are completely different from the
Okay,
entrance
so
doors.
those don't need to be changed.
No,
So why would you need to change locks anywhere?
I would prefer to change my office and the vault door if they're gonna have keys to the
Because your
entrance
key,
doors.
the
Because
front
my
door.
key works the entrance door,
Okay.
just to have an extra security.
Let us get locks changed then. If you want a key, get mine.
Thank you.
We don't need to sit here and argue over a key. There's all things. You have anything else on Park and Rec?
No.
Discussion on alcohol receipts, Commissioner Clark.
I've asked, why our budget budget that we passed did not include the income from the alcohol revenue. Our budget includes minimal income for some things, yet we have $3,000 that we received in May of 2016. And we had $7,600 that we received in May of 2015. Those monies are not included in our budget. I'm sure they're in our general fund, but they're not shown on our budget as income. Alcohol revenue is something that we've had for the last 2 years, and it's not earmarked for anything specifically because it's not shown on the budget. I would like to amend the budget to show that money coming in, but I'm also going to ask that my Parks and Rec department gets $5,000 for special programs for seniors and kids. I know I'm probably going to meet some resistance on that, and I would like that we could talk about it, but I would like to show that money is coming in to our town coffers, and if we're not going to earmark it for anything else, increase my budget so we can develop some programs for seniors and children.
I think some of it, I don't think we passed it, we just randomly talked about it.
When you
Is
say,
using,
who's we?
the old board,
Okay.
about using that money to pay, like our retired police officers and stuff, because we have one now that we pay every 2 weeks a salary, once a month, and then there's a possibility we could have 2 or 3 more in the next couple of years that we have to pay that once a month.
Can we not use that as, can we not have the police department amend their budget to include that one?
I guess we could, but it would increase our budget.
I mean, if we're gonna be paying salary once a month to 2 or 3 police officers, that's
To the age of 62.
that's something that we know is coming and should be included in their budget. It's not a surprise, right?
No.
I have no date on any retirement at this point.
So we should be able to prepare for that and include that as an expense in the budget.
Yeah, we could.
And if we don't use it that year, we can roll it over to the next year.
But there was something we talked about using that money for, or using some of it for.
Well, I'm leaving you a little bit there. This money doesn't even include the ABC store sales. So I don't think $5,000 annually for seniors and kids is gonna hurt us, really. Mr. Albright, did you have something?
You just said that this came from the ABC sales.
No.
Okay, I thought you said.
It's, the money from the ABC sales, from what I understand, has not been included in this yet.
No, what is this, 3,000 and 7,000?
It's from beer and wine, beer and wine sales.
Beer and wine, not from the ABC store.
Correct.
You have not get any money from the ABC store yet?
Not yet, but if you wanna tell us how much you sold last year.
Once a year, and then get an April.
And it was hard to include this in your budget last year, because we didn't know how much we was gonna be receiving.
Well, we knew we were gonna get something.
Something, but we
If
didn't know exactly how
we
much.
got $3,000 in 2016, we knew that in 2017 we'd get more than that.
What's our, Park and Rec, tax rebate now? 2.5 cents?
3 cents, I think, yeah.
Just 3
3 cents
3 cents.
per 100, goes to Parks and Rec. I think it's something the board needs to look at, where to spend this money. But let's look at it, talk about it.
I'm just bringing it up to talk about it.
And we're gonna get from ABC in April.
April.
If you wanna wait till April and look at what we get from ABC Commission.
I don't wanna wait for it.
We don't have a budget.
I mean, we're gonna get a bunch more next year because,
Well,
Mr. Albright, how much money did you guys send last year?
Nothing's going on. We only, the money that comes from the ABC sales, we don't, the money that you get comes from different taxes. the liquor tax, and then there's 2 or 3 other taxes. That's the money you'll receive now. You will not receive any money from ABC sales until we make a profit. That is additional to it, but it's the money that comes from the actual ABC sales is what you will get, the profit that we have. We are non-profit. You can't make any profit off of it. So when we reach a point, if y'all go up there and buy some stuff, we'll get to the point where maybe we will break even. Right now, of course, we're not, because we just got started, but it's looking up, and we're increasing sales every month, and we're looking forward to bringing some funds into the local.
Bobby, I'd like to ask you a question. This money that we have listed, right now is in general fund, is that correct? So what you're asking to do, Vicki, is take some money out of the general fund and put it in Parks and Rec, is that correct? Amend the budget to take some and put it in Parks and Rec?
More, I'm asking that that money be separated out in our budget, and specifically from the alcohol revenue, money come from, be filtered into Parks and Rec. Earmark it, yes.
Why not move some now and then earmark in the next budget?
Well,
Is that money used also for training for our officers?
this money is not designated to be spent on anything, it's just laid in there, okay? It's in general fund. So what Vicki's asking for is put some of this money in Parks and Rec to be spent.
So to develop programs for the seniors and the kids.
Why don't you work up some type of programs that you're wanting to initiate?
How much do you need?
And how much each program, how much you want to earmark for each program, and then bring it back to the board, and I'm sure that it will go through with smooth sailing if you're trying to do something good for the citizens of the town.
You can have that by February, can't you? A couple of weeks. I mean, you know.
I'll have a good
baseball's-
start on it, okay?
Baseball's gonna be starting up pretty soon.
Yeah, and I need a committee,
So,
sorry.
You said you didn't want to wait.
I don't wanna wait.
so you wanna do that, Vicki?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That'll be first Monday in February, you'll have something.
I'll have something, I don't wanna have a.
Well, I said something. Do you have anything else on that?
No, sir, thank you.
The next item of business is mayor and commissioner comments. Any commissioner have any comments they wanna make tonight?
I would like to say something. Since I've been on the board the last 2 years, I have worked really hard in water and sewer. And like I said earlier, I did more in the 2 years I've been on the board than has been done in the last several years. And I continue to work hard on it. I don't have full support of this board. Only people that really talk to me on this board is Mr. Cox. None of the other commissioners call and talk to me, ask me anything about my department. There's things and decisions that is being made I'm not even a part of. And I'm fine with that. If that's the way you choose to do, I am fine with that. But let me do my job and stuff. I have things going on with water, so I'm willing to share. But I have to be included. It's not that I'm trying to keep anything from you or anything. But we have to come together as a board, as a whole, to be able to work on things. It's not all about what I want, it's not about all what you want. It's what's best for the citizens, and that is what I'm looking to do. But I have to be included in that. I don't have a problem sharing anything with y'all, but no one talks to me. And I've offered some of the board members a helping hand and extended olive branches and stuff, but we have several things going on in water and sewer, and I try to stay on top of it. And I think I'm just as qualified, if not more qualified, than anyone else on this board. When, Vicki, last month, when you turned in a paper that you had worked on moving the whole department around, I'm not saying some of your ideas wasn't good, but you didn't get your intake from everybody on this board. You only did it with a few.
Well, let me explain, let me finish.
Let me finish and then, and I think for us to be able to work together, you have to include everybody and stuff. And I have some things going on in water and sewer. I would like y'all advice. Maybe you can see something that I don't see and stuff. but I work very hard in water and sewer. When I'm out there standing in 0 degrees weather to 2 and 3 in the morning, and first thing in the morning, I don't see no other commissioner out there with me. Or my phone's ringing, I'm standing out in the cold freezing and stuff. Or have to go and flag. So, and I'm running up down the road, everybody else is comfortable, but I'm not asking for your help today. I'm not griping about it. But there's a lot go on that you don't see, but nobody take the time to try to find out neither.
When I said that you were not qualified, what I didn't mean was you weren't qualified to be a commissioner over water and sewer. What I said is you don't have the qualifications of a chief plant operator or water sewer plant operator. Okay, let me finish. All right. When I did those job descriptions and came up with those areas of service, I didn't ask anybody else. I did those on my own, though I did share them. I did those on my own, and I split them up so that all the commissioners may have an equal role. And yes, I did not put you on water and sewer, and there was a reason. It's not because I doubted your ability. It's because I believe that we need to have oversight and checks and balances. And I think it's fair that if you are doing this, somebody else is looking over what you're doing. And it wasn't just for you, it was for every area. I designed that area of service so that each individual commissioner had 2 areas of service with somebody else working with them, and it was all rotated around.
I don't have a problem with that, but that should have been something this board decided, not an individual.
That's what the meeting was for last Wednesday, that the mayor made his recommendations, and as soon as he made his recommendations, you made a motion, and it got voted on and passed without any.
That was supposed to be.
Why I'm saying this, because I know for a fact there was people on this board who wanted certain areas, and they had those areas on those papers and stuff. And they have been talking about it for a long time. I don't think it was fair. I don't think it was done rightfully.
Well, and bringing that up, you're exactly right. There were people on this board that had made an interest in those areas of service, and
But see, you didn't. You said you did that by yourself. Y'all never talked to me. And but what I'm getting, my point that I'm getting to is, we've got to come together as one. Vicki, like water sewer, I have worked on water sewer for 2 years. You took me totally off of it. Why didn't you have me as the lead person on water sewer and then somebody else under me? No, you took me completely off of it. But you're not acknowledging my work.
You're wrong.
No,
you're wrong. I took you off water and sewer in my design because you are doing water and sewer. And this gave somebody else the ability to work with you and have oversight.
No, you took me totally out of what I think would have been happening. Now, this is just what I would have thought. I would have thought you would have left me on water and sewer. Then, okay, say had me or Randy or me and you or whoever. Then you would have. I could have told you what I had been working on, what was going on in water and sewer and stuff. But that's not the way you had it.
But you are doing water and sewer Monday through Friday, 8 to 5.
Yeah, as the water bill clerk.
Okay, but that's also the time when you're working on those things.
What are we arguing about?
Hey,
It's done.
hold it down.
Excuse me, Mr. Brown, but this is our meeting and we
I
are
understand,
talking.
but you're rehashing on.
And so I think this was
But
done unfairly.
you took it as a personal attack, and when it was supposed to be that we were supposed to develop it together.
But that's right, so this should have been done together.
Exactly.
Your opinion
It
means a lot, but
should
mine
have
means just as
It
well.
should have
We're
been
as a
done
board,
to
as a
work.
whole, and we have to work together.
And then I brought it to a work meeting and didn't even get an opportunity to present it at a work meeting.
Now, when we set that meeting, it was to assign departments that day.
It was to work and assign, you're correct. But we forgot the work.
But I'm not upset or anything, but we've got to find a way to work together, come together as one on this board.
You have anything else, Mr. Chief?
No.
David, Randy? I've got a few comments I want to make. I'm making them as mayor I'm not gonna go into a lot of detail, but I got some things here that I want to read. This is directly out of our town ordinances. General Administration, Article 1, Legislative. The mayor is not to vote. The mayor shall not vote on any question before the board, except in the case of a tie vote deadlocking the decision of the board of commissioners. Committees, the mayor and commissioners may create such committees of the board for special purposes as they deem best. It don't say commissioners, it don't say the mayor, it says the mayor and the commissioners. Expectations of the board chairs and mayors. Expectation number 2, the mayor serves as liaison to the governing board by staying on top of matters coming before the board. Overseeing relations with stakeholders in between board meetings. Testing the board's preliminary ideas with key stakeholders between meetings. And asking external stakeholders to provide input on strategic issues. There has not been a commissioner come into my office in the last couple of months and tell me anything they want to put on the agenda. The agenda is drawn up. You come to Bobby, tell her what's going on the agenda, and I have asked some of you to come in and sit down and talk to me about things you want done. No one bothers to call me. No one bothers to come in the office. Expectation number 4. The mayor serves as spokesperson for the governing board by honoring the one voice principle whereby a vote of a majority of council members is recognized as the board's final decision. Quote unquote. Article 3 of our ordinances. Office of mayor. It shall be the duty of the mayor to cause all ordinances of the town to be enforced, to attend and preside over all meetings of the board. It shall further be the duty of the mayor to, within 30 days after the close of each year, to require reports to the Board of Commissioners from the various departments of the town government for the previous year and recommend such adjustments as he may see fit. And the mayor shall perform such other duties as the board may from time to time require. The mayor shall be the chief executive officer of the town. And this is directly out of the county and municipal government of North Carolina, edited by Frederick Bluestein. Mayors in North Carolina enjoy very few powers, with a limited number of exceptions. Their powers consist of presiding at governing board meetings, voting to break ties at those meetings. At no other time can the tiebreakers and signing documents on behalf of the city. However, despite having so few powers, many North Carolina mayors do exercise great influence in the operation of their cities. It is common, for example, for the city council to delegate to the mayor responsibilities such as working with the clerk to create council agendas, representing the city on regional advisory boards, or serving as the primary contact for local media. Most of the powers held by mayors in the state are created by individual city charters by action of the particular mayor city council or by the mayor's own political statute. GS 168-67 confers on a mayor all powers and duties enumerated in the general statutes, as well as the others conferred on him by their city council. This statute recognizes the mayor as the official head of the city for purposes of serving civil process and most federal and state agencies, extending the same recognition for the purposes of official correspondence or actions such as grant awards and enforcement of federal laws and regulations. GS 168-69 requires the mayor to preside at council meetings, and GS 168-71 gives the mayor the power to call special meetings of the council. And one more comment I want to read is, much of the nature of the city, along with those who serve in city office, may view the office of mayor as the chief political office in local government. By force of that perception, combined with the strength of their responsibilities, the strengths of their personalities, many mayors effectively lead their governing boards. In small cities without a manager, the mayor often serves as chief administrator, simply because he or she is willing to work long hours in the town hall. I was elected in 2000, well, I filled out a year of Mayor Spivey's unexpired term. And in 2010, I was elected as mayor of town of Ramseur. 2014, I ran again. I received 181, I'm sorry, 2015. I received 181 votes, and Mr. J. Hubbard received 101. The people of Ramseur put me in this position because they thought I was worthy of this job. It's hard to sit up here knowing people put their trust in me to put me here, and then I have 5 people sitting on this board that wants to take the powers away from the mayor that these people have trusted me to do. It's tough. It's hard. All I'm asking this board of commissioners to do away with this thing, begin with. This resolution should not be here. You can shake your head about it if you want to. I know you don't approve of anything that I do. You never have, you never will. I'm asking this board to revisit this resolution. You don't have to take it all out. But when you have a comment in here that says the mayor may not act in any administrative capacity or exercise independent judgment without initial board sanction. That goes totally wrong with the general statute of the state of North Carolina. That is totally wrong. Am I supposed to get me a cup of coffee and a newspaper or come down here and sit in this office every day?
Can I respond?
When I get finished.
Okay.
And get me a cup of coffee and a newspaper and come down here and sit in this office every day. I'm asking this board, call me sometime. Come up and visit with me. Tell me what you'd like to see done in Ramseur. You don't do that. You want to get your little groups together, 2 or 3 together, talk about things, and then this gentleman here and this gentleman here has been left out in every conversation that has happened since this last election. I know that for a fact. I know Mr. Cox asked a question about being over police and fire, and that was the end of that conversation. This board has an opportunity to pull ourselves together with the mayor, pay me some respect, because I think I'm due. You don't have to like me as a person. Respect my title. We all have opinions. And during discussion in board meetings, I think the mayor should have an opportunity to voice an opinion. Can't vote, but my constitutional right says freedom of speech. Okay? I don't vote on anything, but I have an opinion. I'm through, Vicki.
And I'm not trying to be harsh, I'm just getting clarification here.
Sure.
So, the board members, the 5 of us, we're responsible for governing and administrating to the town,
Yes, ma'am.
okay?
I understand.
And this code enforcement report, it's dated 6/23/17 by our code enforcement officer, and they're talking about the water runoff for the property over here. And it says the tenant told the code enforcement officer that the town of Ramseur is causing the conditions of the building, and that's where the water's running under there. We were out there for that meeting, both of us. It says the town does not agree. Who is the town? Because none of that was discussed in front of all of us at a board meeting. And I want to ask you one other thing too. Because I do serve on the Chamber of Commerce, and because the Chamber of Commerce always submits membership applications to all the businesses in town in December of every year, did the town of Ramseur not receive a membership application?
To the Chamber of Commerce?
Yes.
I don't know. I don't think so, but I don't have the office duties.
Mr. Parrish, did you send the town of Ramseur a chamber application?
Well, that's just like sending
So,
we haven't seen one. I haven't seen one, and she's the clerk.
I think the first year I was here, I remember getting one, but I haven't seen one since then.
so what I'm saying is, this board, and maybe sometimes we don't necessarily believe that we're being involved in decisions that the town is making, because I don't ever recall hearing it being brought up. I know it wasn't brought up at a planning and zoning meeting, because I went to them all. So when I see something that says the town does not agree, yes, I have a distrust.
Okay, what did you hear the comment that the town does not agree?
It's right here in this code
I see that, but
enforcement.
where did that come from?
The code enforcement officer, I assume.
The town does not agree.
That's,
I never made the comment, the town does not agree. I don't agree, but I'm not the town.
that's
Now,
my
he's,
point.
he's the one that makes the comments, not me. I mean,
Okay,
he
so-
put the comments in there.
In this report where it says the town does not agree, are we saying that our code enforcement officer is not being honest in his reports?
I wouldn't say he's not being honest, I'm just saying that's a misquote.
Do you see how things get misconstrued and why
The only
maybe there's
thing
some
that gets
distrust?
misconstrued around here is there's no trust between the commissioners and the board, simply because the board chooses not to come up and discuss anything in this office. You wanna meet out here on the street and talk, that's the problem. If you have something to discuss about the town that concerns me or any other commissioner, involve everybody. Don't just pick out 2 or 3. You can't all meet at the same time, but you can discuss things around. These 2 gentlemen, I don't know where David did or not, Commissioner, I'm sorry, Commissioner Holman. I don't know if he knew about your assignments before that meeting or not.
It was supposed
These
to
2
be a working
gentlemen didn't know
meeting.
anything about it.
It was supposed to be a
Did you
working
discuss it
meeting.
with David prior to the meeting?
Only because I ran into him,
Okay,
yeah.
oh, well, okay. I'm sorry.
I mean,
That's
I
all.
ran into him on the street. He's a business owner on the street and I ran into him.
Well, you could have ran into his barber shop, or you could have ran into, you come in and pay your water bills.
Sometimes I don't.
That's all I have, Vicki. I'm just saying, I want some trust between the commissioners and myself.
Can I say something else? I don't really see what the
No,
issue.
because I'll give you your opportunity as a commissioner to make your statements, okay?
If he wants to say something.
Look, I would entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
May I say something?
No, sir?
Make your announcements, and don't forget class next Thursday and Friday.
All right,
And
announcements
I will be
are.
out Thursday and Friday.
We have a way of transportation.
Announcements are, that's already happened.
No.
Town, these 2 announcements already been had, 15. Yesterday. We don't have any
My
announcements.
announcement is, I will not be here Thursday and Friday this week.
Vicky's going back.
Next week is
I
the,
would entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting. Is there a second? Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the motion, raise your hand. All those like it.